Good evening. This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for the evening of Wednesday, the 1st of October. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing, learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to shoot trading signals. Right. I'm doing this one tonight because it's the first day of the month, and it's Wednesday, and as a result, I had to do a whole load of new monthly pivots before the open this morning, so I pushed this into tonight. In any case, it was worth the wait because it was an interesting day today. We delivered on the well, I was saying on Sunday, and I was saying on Monday and Tuesday that really, while I did a post and I talked about the possibility we might have head and shoulder patterns here, I wasn't concealing my preference for at minimum retest the high on ES SPX and on QQQ and Q, and we saw those today. So not surprising. So I've redone these because, as I mentioned, these would be potential level tops. And on the daily charts, we now have daily RSI 14 sell signals brewing. Now these aren't RSI 5 sell signals, which are better on short-term indications, but they do give us an opportunity to see a retracement here. And there is one other thing I want to mention, which is, hang on. Right, this is from the Wall Street Journal, and this is an analysis of, obviously we started a government shutdown today. This is an analysis of what has happened in previous government shutdowns on the US stock market. And as you can see, red and blue do not mean up and down in this instance. They're talking about under Republicans for red and under Democrats for blue. But you can see out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 shutdowns. We've had a negative result, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's pretty damn high, given that the majority of the time the stock market is going up. Having half of them going down is pretty significant. And actually, until this last one, which was in December 2018, under one of two under Trump Mark 1, until this last one, really, on average, the declines were larger than the rises. This gives us, admittedly, with I could take the view that December tends to be a pretty good bullish month, but we had a December in 95 one as well. And we had a December 82, both of those minor increases. This is a bit of an outlier, but if we exclude that, then really we should be looking at modest rises here and a bias historically slightly to the downside, or at least considerably more so than we'd see in a normal October. Now, this gives an opportunity which we may or may not take. We've now got possible RSI 5 sell signal brewing on SPX, on ES, and we've got a potential of the level top here. NQ, we've got a potential of the level top here. And again, on the Qs, we've got daily RSI 14 sell signal brewing. Now, on IWM on NRTY, we've got actually a weak daily sell signal already fixed, and we've still got a pretty fine looking head and shoulders. On YM, decent looking head and shoulders again, and here we've got a full RSI 14 sell signal fixed already. I'm just saying that this is actually, rather than making the direct leg down with the head and shoulders, even though seasonally isn't particularly promising, we have seen some decent declines in October's, and actually, let's have a look at our chart again. Don't know how many of these were in October. That October, bit of a rise, small rise, significant fall. There's only 3, but December does tend to be a pretty bullish month. October, less so. And we've got 2 rises and a fall. And I'm thinking, actually, this government shutdown may last all month. Now, it may be that the two sides are going to start negotiating, but I think the Democrats have potentially found a hill they are prepared to die on. And actually, I think they're calculating that most of the blame, given that Trump controls the House, the Senate, the White House, and increasingly it appears the Supreme Court, it's hard for the people not to blame him for the shutdown. We will see how that goes. And obviously, the Democrats have had a little trouble showing backbone this year. So last time they avoided the shutdown basically just by caving completely. I think Trump was expecting them to do the same this time. They haven't done that. Will they be able to sustain that? I don't know. But if they can, we may well find the shutdown lasts all month. In which case, well, we've got an opportunity here. At the very least, that makes the tape more neutral than it otherwise would be. And we do have some negative divergence in a series of now that we've made these retests on SPX and the Qs, we've now got some decent looking negative divergence to go with it, and decent looking short-term topping patterns here. They're not big topping patterns. We're not talking about a big retracement, but we do have a shot here. Although I do have some reservations looking at the crypto chart, but I'll come to those. All right, DAX. The Europeans have actually taken off. They'd been really struggling. Actually, you can see this falling wedge here on DAX started in August. That had broken up. We had an IHS, it broke up. I marked in a target for it, and we pretty much exactly made that target today. So that is now made target. This has got us considerably back over, I think, the daily upper band on the daily chart, but we'll have a look at that. The SDX has gone higher. I have been looking at a potential megaphone forming here. This could be a bearish overthrow, or it could just be that we are breaking up from here. We will see. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. SPX. On the daily chart, we've now got a possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing. We went down too deep to get anything on the daily RSI 5. ES, possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing. This looks pretty nice looking double tops. This has potential. Now, we've seen this break. We saw the test of the daily middle band, and we saw that on SPX. We saw it on Dia, and we saw it on IWM, and we've gone back and retested the high. I was saying this was I was particularly expecting a retest of the high on SPX and Qs, which are the ones that have already done it. In terms of the short term, nice looking potential double top here. On Qs, very nice looking potential double top here. On Dia, we've still got a decent looking head and shoulders here. It's not perfect. Would it be better if this retested the high too and that set up a double top? Yeah, it would be a bit. But nonetheless, it's potentially in play. We will see how it goes. We haven't got really anything in the way of hourly sell signals. I am wondering if we might develop that overnight. We are in a position where we could set it up. ES is in a position where we could go to sell signal. In fact, one is brewing on an hourly sell signal is brewing right now. NQ, this could also get one. No current signal brewing. RTY and YM obviously rose the least. These ones we are unlikely to get, well, unless we go up significantly higher, then we're not going to get any sell signals. DAX and STX could easily set up sell signals here. So I'll be watching those over the next day or so. All right, let's have a look at IWM. And on the daily chart, we already had a weak RSI 14 sell signal brewing. I was slightly amazed that didn't fail. It came very close to failing, but looks pretty good. Nice looking rising wedge here. Very nice, actually. And there is an argument for another leg down, even if we're forming just another a bull flag. That could get us down to the support level here, which should pretty much be the target for the possible head and shoulders here, which I've shown on the 15-minute. I'm wondering about it, and I think it's a decent looking setup. DAX, we've had a real break up over the daily upper band today, and I think, is this a good area for a pause? Well, hang on, bear with me a moment, and I'll just put in the 3SD Bollinger Bands. So, bear with me a moment. Dash thing. All right, let's have a look at that. Right, you can see the daily upper band closed the day at 24,173. We pretty much made that. We've tested that today. This is a pretty good time to see a retracement and possibly a back test of the 50-day MA at 23.921. So I'm wondering about that. ESTX, again, has shown some pretty impressive work. Nikkei, it was interesting because I was saying that this was looking, while I was leaning bullish on the rest, this was looking like a retracement. We've seen a retracement because we reached the wedge resistance that I had marked out, and then we had an RSI 5 sell signal fixed. We still got an old RSI 14 sell signal fixed, and I was thinking we'd might reach the daily middle band, and we've reached it. And I'm looking a little lower into this rising wedge support in the 43,600 area, and I'm wondering if we'll hit that too, particularly if we're going to see a bit more downside on equities. But we do have an opportunity here. It doesn't mean we're necessarily going to take it, but these are actually the most attractive little topping patterns that we've seen since the original little ones here that I've marked in that already made target. We will see how that goes. All right, great. Let's have a look at DX. Now, DX, we've got a little head and shoulders here, which is actually broken down with the target in about the 96.6 area. Wondering if that'll make target. We've got a weak 6-minute buy signal fixed. We will see how that goes. In terms of the currency pairs, here we've got an IHS trying to break up, but not quite certain as to whether it can get over the new monthly pivot. And I've got that breaking up, really wondering whether that could get back and retest the high. GBP USD has also broken up from an IHS. Australian dollar, I've got that marked as possibly forming an IHS here. I'm wondering about these. I'm wondering if we might see DX break down towards the low, possibly setting up a small double top, small double bottom there. We will see. Let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. And all right, looking at US dollar. We've got a potential larger double bottom here, and this could be an IHS. Not great, maybe a little oversized. Really, we'd get a better nested double bottom setup here if we went back and retested the low. Wondering whether we might do that. We have been holding the daily middle band lately. If that continues to hold, then the obvious direction is up. Looking at the euro, we've been going too much sideways to really have any sell signals here on the other charts. USD JPY looks rather uncertain in terms of direction. USD CAD, pretty close to getting some. We didn't quite make it today, but if we go up a little more tomorrow, we could get a daily RSI 5 sell signal brewing. I am wondering whether we might see that, and actually that wouldn't be a bad area to come back and form a right shoulder in any case. So I am wondering about more downside, and of course on DX we do have the head and shoulders, which is already broken down with the target in the 96.6 area. So I'm just saying it may well get down to that target, and it could, when it gets down there, continue down into the low. All right, looking at the bonds, ZB, we've got a possible double bottom here, which is broken up with a target at about the 117.28 to 118.04 area, and I'm quite liking that to make target. On ZN, we've got an even nicer setup here. We had a bull flag falling wedge. That's broken up, and we've got a possible IHS forming, which would have a target back up and retest the high. I'm quite liking that move up on bonds. Let's have a look at the bigger picture chart, where on the TYX chart, the RSI 5 buy signal reached the possible near miss target. So what I'm wondering about is a retest of the high on bonds, and that would be a retest of the low here on TYX, which seems an obvious place to go because we've not really successfully managed to get back over the daily middle band. We could just reject back down to the low. That would give us a double bottom on TYX and potential level top on the bond as well. So we'll see. In terms of the hourly charts, these have all reached the possible near miss target now. But again, I'm wondering about a possible retest of the low here. We've actually got over the daily middle band here and then come back to test it. Gets much lower, and we could see a retest of the low there. On TLT, buy signal made target. Daily chart, no current divergence here either. Wondering about a possible retest of this high, and then maybe setting up a little level top to go down again. We shall see. All right, great. Let's have a look at oils. Right, on oil, we actually we were trading in a range basically between 61 and 65. 61.5, and we went a buck over that the other day and then rejected hard. We're now back. We've now got back to 61.5. We've got a 6-minute buy signal fixed. I think we might be starting a little rally here, and certainly we've gone down quite a bit since these buy signals fixed, because I've got those on CL, HO, and RBOB. All of them got back down to pretty close to the bottom of the range here. Here we had a nice looking rising wedge. This was a bearish overthrow at the high, and this is a break of the support. I'm thinking if we do see a little bit of a rally here, then we're probably going to see downside. And I think this might well be the start of the breakdown that I've been looking for. On RBOB, we've got potential oversized double top here, which is broken down, but I'm not taking that seriously. But the main thing I am interested in here is on the bigger picture charts, we've actually broken down from the flag support on the flag that I've been looking at. And finally, oh, by the way, I have a theory. Trump's mentioned a few times that about gas prices being down at 195, 193. I don't think anywhere that's been seen on gas prices, and I do wonder if someone's been talking to him about gas oil futures and the prices on there, because actually that would match. We got down to 188 today, but I did wonder whether that might be so that someone knows the prices of the futures and has been talking about that going down. Not that it's been going down much recently, but it did go down quite a bit before then. Just speculating there. All right, NG. NG, I've got I've got a double bottom here, which is breaking up. Although it doesn't look quite the same on the continuous chart as these some things sometimes do. Here, I've got a double bottom breaking up with a target in the basically bracketing the 3.8 area. And I'm quite liking that. This is an area, this is a time when I'd be expecting to see a seasonal rally. And that's a pretty good match with that. So I think that may well make it. And also, regardless of how this looks on the bigger picture chart, because we've only really just switched over, we've got another 3 or 4 weeks inside the inside this current contract on futures. I think we could easily make that in that time. And I think it might well. Minus side, we've got a 6-minute sell signal fixed, and that didn't fail today. We could be about to see a bit of a retrace. After that, I think we've got a pretty good chance of making that target in the 3.8 area. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts and on oil. Okay, oil. Old RSI 14 sell signal has reached the possible near miss target already. No real divergence here, but you can see we broke up, went through 50 DMA, went through the top of the daily middle band, and then rejected straight back to the lower band. I'm wondering whether this might be the start of the move down to retest these lows here in the 56 area to set up a nice looking double bottom, which would be the best way, in my view, to complete the sequence and give us some nice bottom patterns on what, on the bigger picture, is actually a pretty bullish setup. We will see how that goes. Looking at heating oil. We've got, again, breakdown. I am wondering if this whole thing here might be a bear flag, setting up, again, a retest for low. Now, those two are still quite a way away from it, but actually on gas oil, we're very close to that low, which is down here at 1.855, and we reached 1.88 today. So this would be the first one to reach the low, and I'm expecting it to. Really, I've been talking about this as a bear flag forming, well, all year really. So much of the year, and that is broken down. I'm expecting to see a retest of the low at 1.855 in days, and then we will see how the other oils go. So we'll see. All right, great. Let's have a look at natural gas. Natural gas, no current diversions, nice rally up. I've got here, it doesn't look the same really, but I've got this IHS which has broken up nicely with the target in the 3.7 area. And where is our target here? 3.8 area. That's the kind of region I'm looking for. And that is entirely reasonable looking basically at the NGs for the time being. And at the moment, I've currently got the November contract at 3.44. This should peak at about, I've got this peaking in January at 4.3. So that would say that we're going to go up another 90 cents. This pattern doesn't get us there, but it gets us a fair amount of the way. All right, great. Let's have a look at metals. Now, metals have been sturdy to the upside, but I do have this rather nice looking rising wedge here. This looks like a bearish overthrow. I think we could be about to see some retracement. However, it's thin. This is a very strongly trending instrument, and it may be it's just going to build those through it. But this is a nice wedge. it's got a shot here, and we've got a potential little level top here. Looking at silver, which is getting, I would say, pretty close to my target in the retest of the all-time high at 49.51. I've been talking about that ever since we saw the break over 42, and we've got pretty close to it. I'm still expecting to reach that. But I am thinking we might see a bit of a retrace first, and we do have a possible little level top here too. Palladium has already come down quite a bit. I was commenting on the post-market charts today that I'm wondering whether this is a bear flag, bull flag forming. If it is, then ideally it would come down for another lower low and then go up. I'm not looking for anything big in terms of retracement here, but I'm wondering about the same on platinum here. And on copper, not quite the same, not a precious metal, obviously, but on copper, we've now got this double support at the monthly pivot and weekly pivot at 4.77. But we've also got a nested double top that could take us back into what would be the flag target down and retest this low here at 4.38. I'm liking that. I'm thinking we could be about to do that, so we could be about to see some weakness on the metals over the next few days. Given the way that metals have been trading, though, seriously, don't bet the farm on it. It could just go the other way. All right, on gold, we've still got a weak RSI 5 sell signal fixed and a full-size one brewing. We did have also a possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing, and that divergence was lost today. On silver, we had an RSI 5 sell signal fixed and reconfirmed, and we lost that today. We also, a while ago, lost the sell signal here and currently have no negative divergence on the daily chart. Bigger picture, without a doubt, I'm looking for a retest of this high here at 49.51. As soon as we broke over this trend line here, that was looking likely, and it's been, ever since I called it at 40.41, it's been powering up there. I think that's going to be reached within a short number of weeks. Short term, we are looking at kind of overbought on the, well, that's the monthly chart. So it's on the weekly and on the daily. So I am thinking might see a bit of a retracement here. It would help sort of reset the RSIs of it. Looking at palladium, RSI 14 sell signal fix hasn't made target. Wondering about a retest of this high here at 1373. That could set up a nice looking little level top for what might be a larger retracement. Platinum, it's different. Here I've got a possible bigger picture IHS, which is broken up with a target at a retest of this high here at 2290. It's a nice pattern. It really is. No current negative divergence on the monthly. Bit of negative divergence on the weekly, but I wouldn't be astonished to see it go up and break through that. I'm quite liking this IHS target. And also this flag that was forming that is broken up, well, that kind of has a target in the same area. So I am liking it. And I'm thinking we may well make that target. Almost exactly the same area. I'm liking the retest of 2290. It's a nice looking setup to set. Palladium, not seeing the same. Might get an uplift anyway, but I'm not really seeing it. I'm looking at copper, no current divergence. I'm wondering if we've now got a setup to go back and return to this low, which on here is at 4.31. Looking at GDX, we've still got some negative divergence on the daily. That's still delivered absolutely nothing. We've got some forming negative divergence on the hourly as well. Personally, I would absolutely not be short this instrument, but we might see a bit of a retracement here. And on the GDXJ chart, the situation is pretty much the same. Possible RSI 14 sell signal forming, weak RSI 5 sell signal forming, and a full size sell signal forming. One weak sell signal fixed and one forming on the RSI 5, which should be a full size one. And we could see a retrace here. Having said that, this is kind of like, this is what I would describe as trying to catch a thrown knife rather than a falling knife. This one is heading very, very clearly upwards. Generally not a good idea to get in front of these kind of trends. Right, KC. KC, we got a little IHS here which broke up and then failed almost immediately. I'm leaning towards seeing a retest of this low, but at the moment I'm not sure KC is seeing it the same way. It does need to get over the monthly pivot if it's going higher though. I've got the new monthly pivot at 382.77. SB, we've got a very nice looking IHS which has broken up, made much of the way to the target, and then seen a sharp retracement. Hasn't failed yet though. Doesn't fail until we get down to about 15.95 area. So at the moment, I'm still leaning towards it going up and making target. If it does retest the low here, which is possible, I'd still say the overall setup is bullish. It'll just be a little less bullish than it was. CC, Very nice looking falling wedge here, leaning towards this breaking up. I mean, it could be that it's just going to collapse downwards. But we are reaching some pretty decent support on CC. I'll be talking about that on the bigger picture charts, and I wouldn't be astonished to see it bounce here. On CT, further slide downwards. I am thinking that, well, I'll talk more about it on the daily chart, but I am wondering whether there's an obvious bigger picture low retest, which is now increasingly likely. Live cattle broke up from this double bottom, sagging a bit though. We've got a 60-minute sell signal fixed. I'd quite like to see it. Bigger picture is likely to be downside. We're just looking at a rally here in all probability. I'd like to see it go up, make the minimum target, and then fail. We got the 60-minute sell signal for that already. CW, we actually made the sell signal target, and we had a possible buy signal brewing. We lost the divergence before it went up. Possible double bottom here, leaning. Well, I'll talk more about the bigger picture on the daily charts. Here we had some positive divergence, and again we lost it just before we went up, but we've seen nice little spikes off the lows. On soy, we've seen a very nice spike off the low too. This megaphone, this could be a bullish underthrow, in which case it would break up from here, possibly after forming a right shoulder, and be heading up towards this this trendline resistance in about the 1046 area. Looking at soybean oil, more than anything else, this looks like a little bear flag forming. Resistance at the monthly pivot at the moment at 50.75. Live cattle, again, testing the monthly pivot and weekly pivot as double resistance. Little double bottoms broken up here. Quite liking this as an overall bullish triangle, but if it is, it's going to need to get back over the monthly pivot, and it's failing there at the moment. Lean hogs, I've been talking about this possible little top forming for ages. It's been, well, seems like ages, only a few days in practice, but that's broken down. We've got two possible targets here. One is megaphone support, which looks likely to get tested and may hold, and I've got that in about the 85.9 area. Below that, I've got targets in the 84.25 to 88.9 area. So, actually, no, sorry, that's not true. It's that's the 85 area. So sloppy of me, sorry. All right, okay, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. And okay, coffee. Coffee, we're testing the daily middle band, and we could fail there. If so, I'd lean towards seeing retest this low maybe, and maybe another try. I'd very much like to see a retest this high here at 4.41, but obviously it's not going to get there unless it does get over that daily middle band. Looking at sugar, sugar, short term, I'm liking this as a double bottom. Bit of a rocky road to get up here, but it's a nice bottoming setup, and if we can get up to 17.05 on this chart, then we've got a nice extension higher, which I like. That is supported. That was supported by an RSI 5 buy signal, which is now made target. Hang on, I'm just going to mark that in. We've still got a weak RSI 14 buy signal, which hasn't made target yet. And hang on a second. Right, I thought I corrected all these earlier. All right. So that's not supported by any daily positive divergence anymore, or at least not much. But I do have a weekly RSI 5 buy signal fixed, which hasn't made target yet. And I've also got this falling wedge on the bigger picture, nice looking little double bottom. I'm liking a test of wedge resistance, which I've got at the 18.5 area. All right, looking at cocoa. Cocoa, we are getting down into a support area here that I've been talking about, which is this one close to 6425, 6427.49. Shorter term, no current positive divergence, possible little level bottom, and we're holding this wedge support, so we will see whether it holds. Wheat, I was thinking this was a double bottom breaking up, but it looks as though it may be rejecting back into the lows. Got pretty close to making that today. Overall, though, I still like the upside here. Looking at corn, I'm liking the upside here too. Very nice looking double bottom. See a break up over this wedge resistance, and I'll really be liking the upside. Daily chart, we had a weak RSI 5 sell signal, 14 sell signal fixed, and a weak RSI 5 sell signal fixed. We've seen a pullback, which has made the RSI 5 sell signal target, which is the main one I'd be looking at. This can continue higher, and we've still got an open IHS target in the 445 area. Looking at soybeans, we've been seeing a bit of a retrace here. Bigger picture, I've got this as a bear flag. This is not a big bottoming setup until we've seen a retest of this low here at 93606. So I'm leaning towards seeing that in the next few weeks. Sooner would probably be referred to later. I'm a bit surprised given what's been happening on the soy market this year. It hasn't retested that already. On cotton, I'm wondering about another retest of this low here, 57.89. Possibly a retest of 58.38, which should give a better double bottom. We've actually got a pretty decent looking double bottom here already, so it could break up directly. But at the moment, it's not doing that. So I'm wondering about another retest of the lows and setting up potentially a smaller little double bottom. Bigger picture though, again, the falling wedge leans bullish. Lumber, we've got a double top which is broken down. We've seen a rally after the break. That's not unusual. We're testing the daily middle band, which is a good place to film. Actually, weekly middle band. And I'm thinking we're going to resume the downtrend here again. So we will see. Ultimately, I think this road finishes at the retest of the early 2023 low. And then I think we might have a decent looking double bottom. We shall see. All right, great. All right, last thing today, let's have a look at crypto, where I was looking at some interesting stuff today. So let's have a look at that. Now, the first thing to say is I was thinking this, I was a bit surprised this didn't go lower, but that surprise vanished when I measured and found this channel here, which is really nice. This is a rising channel. I love finding things like this because, of course, it gives us an upside target as long as these support holds. This is a reservation in terms of seeing a retracement here on equities, because if this is going to be heading up higher, I'm wondering if equities are going to be doing the same. They often move strongly in sympathy. In terms of the hourly chart, we've still got an RSI 14 sell signal fix. That hasn't failed. We've broken over declining resistance here, and I think we've now pretty clearly got a target at a retest of the all-time high at 124.5k. Looking at Solana, we're back testing the daily middle band. If we can get back above it, I'm liking a retest of the highs here too. Looking at Ethereum, we are back testing the daily middle band, slightly above it, and back testing the 50 DMA. I'd like to see all three of them break above and go back into the all-time highs. And I'm very encouraged by the rising channel that I found on Bitcoin. That is very encouraging for seeing that play out. What happens on equities at the same time? Very possibly they go up too. It's a nice looking short-term little topping setup here. We'll see whether or not it's got a shot at delivering. We'll probably have a pretty good idea in the next day or two. But as I said, there is a tendency for markets to be more uncertain during a government shutdown. If that's the case here today, then as I said, it's a nice looking short-term topping pattern. We shall see. All right, in that case, that's a wrap. I'll catch everyone again on Sunday. Everyone take care.